Well, do you want to just talk? Did everybody check in? Does everybody know how to check in?
Where are our QR codes?
There's one right there. Take a picture of it.
All right, let's show everybody how we
Get free stuff.
There we go.
You guys are awfully quiet.
All right, folks,
Why?
I just checked in and I'm in my golden years, so you could probably do this more easily.
I don't know why I can't get the sides to come.
See, when I was your age, we had to check in using a paper tape. Paper tape? Yeah, you ever see that? Fan fold paper tape? That was cool.
Are you talking about like the dot board?
No, I'm talking about, it was about an inch wide,
Sonia, can you see this
had holes
screen?
punched in it, and
Slide?
it was
Yes, looks good.
feeded into a paper tape reader.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, I used to draw on those.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I remember.
At least you didn't say your granddad. Okay, here we go. Hey, welcome to 1 Million Cups. Nostalgia night's over. I'm back from the wilds of Kansas and Missouri. It's time to check in. So if you're here, we're passing around a sheet of paper with the QR code. If not, there's maybe some way to check in online, is there?
Yeah, 1MCABQ.com.
And then
fill
you're
out the
checked
form.
in. All right. So go ahead and check in. 3 times you get a pen, 6 times you get a notebook. So it's really worth doing. That's not working. Okay. Our mission at 1 Million Cups is to make it easier for entrepreneurs to succeed at the difficult task that's in front of them. And we do that by lowering the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for all new and aspiring entrepreneurs in the United States. We don't personally do that here at Albuquerque, but the Kauffman Foundation, which is behind us, has a bunch of chapters all over the country, and collectively, that's our mission. Click. Maybe batteries, thank you. Okay, how do we get that? We have a consistent program that the Kauffman Foundation has invented that gives you a framework for a 1 Million Cups presentation and lets everybody know what you're going to expect week to week in the almost 200 chapters of 1 Million Cups at 9 o'clock on Wednesday, all across the United States. We have a standard program, but we understand that every community has its own special resources and people, and the program is designed to take advantage of that. Next.
I think it's working.
Okay. Nope. All right, and we are the top Million Cups chapter in New Mexico, and we achieve that by having a small denominator. There are other chapters spread throughout the Southwest. I don't know what's going on in Oklahoma, but they sure like to get together on Wednesday morning, and everything's bigger in Texas. So I encourage you to either get on the road or go virtually to one of these other chapters, because you'll find an atmosphere very much like this one with different people, but they're not strangers. They're just friends you haven't met. All right, what are our key pillars? Presentations, not pitches. So in a pitch, your company's invulnerable. It's going to displace Apple, Facebook, and Google at the same time. And you have everything you need except capital, right? So we know that's not usually the case. There are other challenges. So in a 1 Million Cups presentation, you're kind of opening up and saying, here are our challenges, here are our vulnerabilities, here are the things we're not good at, and here are the things we're asking from the community to get help. Oh, it's off. I get it. We're trying to make authentic connections. It's not a contest to see how many business cards you can pass out in 30 seconds. It's an idea of talking to somebody else, finding out what they know that you don't know, or what you know that they don't know, and trying to help out each other and people that you know in common. It's run for the community, by the community. Everyone involved in organizing 1 Million Cups is a volunteer. We don't do that because we're super altruist. We do that because we all get something out of it. And we're radically and intentionally inclusive. All kinds of people, all kinds of businesses are welcome here. If you're an entrepreneur, you're welcome. All right, and here's our mission. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we always ask what the community can do for you. So when you attend as an audience member, look at that presentation. Is there some way you can help that person get over the challenges that they're in front of? You know somebody that might be able to help. And maybe they know something that might be able to help you. We are a diverse group. We support all kinds of people and all kinds of businesses, and you should be down with that if you come here on Wednesday mornings. All right, so how do you apply to present? It's really easy. You talk to any one of the organizers. If you have a for-profit business, that is a business that has a business model where you make something or provide a service and you sell it for more than it costs to make, see? And that difference is what's going to grow your business. Okay, so if you have that kind of business and you've sold something to someone who's not your mom, you're eligible to present. Now, we're also loosening it up a little bit. If you're not in market yet, but somebody has given you an amount of money for your idea, grant money, initial funding, as long as it's got a comma or two in it, that's validation of your idea, and we'd be delighted to hear your presentation. And we'll assign you a coach and make sure you give the right kind of talk for this audience. Right, these are our organizers. I'm Paul Sauter. Lisa Atkins here is our host at Fat Pipe. Eric Renz-Whitmore, Adam, and Sonia is here remotely. So say hi to all of us. And if you're interested in presenting, talk to any one of us and we'll get you on the track. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, Fat Pipe. And I think we're coming up on our 8th birthday. Is that right? Or we just passed our 8th birthday?
He knows our birthday.
Eric knows our birthday.
I think it is 8.
Well, anyway, 8 years. We've been here at Fat Pipe. Jason Cullen Photography, always making us look good, either in person or online. More than organized, organizing your thoughts, organizing your stuff, and providing creamer. GOS Capital buying coffee. Noventham Custom Software offering donuts and good software development. All right, thanks for joining us, and we'll go on to our presenter. You were the coach?
I was the
I'll
coach.
hand it back to you.
Thank you. I am here to introduce David Massey, with Pebble Creek Lighting. Come on over, David. I'm
Thank you.
going to share your presentation here.
Great.
You brought some really cool samples
Oh,
too.
thanks, Lisa. Yeah, I could have brought a whole truckload of samples, but small is sometimes better than large.
Maybe you'll have to hold some of them up for the audience
Oh, that's a good idea. Sure,
online. All right,
I can do that.
go for it.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody, and thanks for letting me present here. Okay. My name is Dave Massey, and I'm the owner of Pebble Creek Lighting. A little history. This is my 4th or 5th venture, if you want to call it. My parents started off owning a school, so I grew up kind of in a private enterprise sort of situation. I had the traditional schooling, went to school got an engineering degree back in '86, if that says much, and worked for a company for 10 years, but it was fine. It was a good company, but I was bored. I like being challenged. I like working 12 hours a day. I've got to always be thinking, coming up with new ideas. So it really was just a matter of time till I decided to do some different things. As most entrepreneurs know, you don't start off at the top. You start off at the bottom doing things like, geez, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try it anyway. And they usually fail. The first 3 or 4 fail for whatever reasons, but it's a learning process. I think one of the things that defines an entrepreneur is the ability to get back on your feet. Okay, that failed. Let's do it again. We'll do it better this time. I learned from the first one. Okay, the second one fails. Let's do it again. And by the 3rd or 4th or 5th, you're like, hey, I'm actually getting the hang of this now. And I think that's a big part of what I did. So about 25, 30 years ago, I started a lighting company. Again, about failed a couple times, but I was able to get on my feet. The internet was just starting up, hit it just right, and it took off. I sold it 7 or 8 years ago, retired, so I thought. That didn't last, got bored, got married. It's like, okay, I gotta do something again. And so what I did was start up a similar idea, but a lot more refined, more just a smaller. I had 15 people working for me before. Now it's just me and my wife, and try to make it more enjoyable, something that's making money, but also just something to be creative with. So there's a few things that I do. You can see these are some of the sample lights. That's me working on the computer, taking orders. as you know, being an entrepreneur, you've got to wear many, many, many hats. I mean, I've got to be a computer programmer, I've got to be a website developer, I've got to be a painter, I've got to be a metal fabricator, I've got to be a welder, I've got to take pictures, I've got to basically do everything from the ground up. And that's one of the challenges that I'll talk about later. Go to the next slide. These are some more samples of some of the things we've done. This is actually a picture a customer sent. One of the nicest things about being an entrepreneur, I think, is that you're in charge. For better or worse, you get to hear all the complaints, but you also get to hear all the compliments. And that's exciting. I get customers call me all the time and say, we love your lights. They're amazing. We've never seen anything like them before. You know, they send me pictures of what they look like on their houses, and they're just raving about them. And that means a lot. I mean, that's really a nice feeling. Working for a company, you don't get that. It's just not going to happen. But this is just a random amount of some of the things we do. Let me grab this. This is basically, you might see this, yeah. This way, here we go. This is what they start like, a piece of raw cut aluminum. These are laser cut. At some point, I plan to have my own laser, but that's down the road. Right now, I'm getting these done outside. And this is how they come in, and this is how the parts go out. So really, we're a complete shop where we do the whole process. So here's some of the ways we do it. That's me welding up some of the tri-kits, which are made out of steel. We do a few parts in steel. Assembling, grinding. It's a full shop. It's kind of take a huge company and compress it into a little 1,500 square foot area. That's us. Makes it interesting sometimes, but again, challenging is what we're all about. So the marketing plan, probably one of the biggest things is how do you plan to make money? I think starting off, the point was we don't plan to make money for a while. If you expect to make money in the first 6 months, good luck with that. The first year, if you're lucky. Second year, you're probably getting there. And I think that's the important thing is as an entrepreneur and having so many businesses, you have to be realistic. It's not going to go the way you want. It's always going to be obstacles. There are always going to be things coming up you can't anticipate. The market's going to be what you think the market is. It never is. It's always different. There's always changes. There's always new ideas, new colors, new models. Everything is always changing and in flux. And as an entrepreneur, you realize that you've got to deal with that. I mean, that you've got to embrace that, not deal with it. You've got to want to change. You've got to be excited to change. Okay, how can I keep evolving? And I think that's probably the most important thing that I learned in my earlier days was that whatever I think is wrong. And that's okay. That's just fine. You know, because it's not about me. Take the me out of it. Enjoy making them, great. But having a pride in it, it's not going to work. It just won't work. You've got to do what people want. Whatever that is, you may think it's hideous. You may think that's an absurd idea. But you know what? It doesn't matter. You do what people want and it works. It's really simple. But it's so easy to forget because so many people that I've met say, oh, I want to start my own business and do this and do that. Well, that's great. But is that what your customers want? Is that what the customers need? Maybe it's a better way of looking at it. You've got to identify the market. And that's what I'm trying to do. Identify what the market is. Can you make a profit at it? Can you do the products and make it sustainable? Simple, right? Except it's really not. So the marketing plan was how to get to the customers, which is over the internet. We do direct sales. Competition, which I hate to say this, but this was my old designs from my old company. They are my competition now. These are some of my newer ones. We're doing a lot more detail, a lot prettier, a lot more attractive, I guess you could say, but really listen to our customers. What do you want? We had a lady come in the other day and said, well, you know, we like this light, but we need a little one. Like, I don't know if I can make it that small, but let me try. And we did, and she was thrilled. And now she's going to be ordering more. And I learned that, hey, maybe my idea of size is not right anymore. Let me make some small ones. No problem. We try to come in at a lower price. Everybody knows that's tricky. It's great to be lower priced than the competition, but you still got to make money. Now, but part of that is the whole marketing plan. To gain competition or to gain market access, you've got to often be cheaper. That feeds back into the whole website and the whole marketing, which I'll talk about later, and challenges. But you've got to start off somewhere, get your name out there, get the recognition, and then gradually start moving the prices up, come up with new ideas. This new model is more expensive, but it's much nicer, da-da-da-da-da. When inflation has hit us, which it has, prices have gone up 40% basically. on all the raw materials. So that's price you gotta be really careful about. You still gotta make a profit. At least pay your overhead for the first year or so. You don't have to pay yourself, but you need to get the overhead paid for. That's critical. Etsy is a new thing that when I started off wasn't there at all. We're using that as a marketing program, platform, putting it on there, saying, hey, if you want more information, come visit our website. It works great. There are other ways of doing it. That just has to be one we have. But Etsy is a double-edged sword because they tend to be, I kind of call them the Walmart crowd. They're a really nice group. I mean, it's a good marketing, but those are people that like to do their own stuff. They're the crafters, a lot of them. So I'm missing the upscale products. It's forcing me to keep my prices low, much lower than they should be, because that's the kind of sales. And that's what I'm trying to work away from, is this kind of label. But again, it's going to take a while. So that's fine. I just have to do it for now. I think gradually move up. Again, we'll talk about that later. So the big question, our challenges. SEO, obviously for anybody got an internet site, getting found is critical. And yet it's probably one of the hardest things that you can do. I mean, I could spend hours talking about SEO work, but everybody here is probably familiar with, what it takes to try to get found, how difficult it is with all the big companies with, the multi-million-dollar budgets and in-house programmers and, been around for a long time. It's difficult. I'm not going to go into that much more. Social media, a personal, I don't like social media, but it's a necessary evil these days to do it. And it has its place. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's fun. But as an entrepreneur with a one-man company, I'm already doing 12-hour days. Do I really have time to go home and do another hour every day postings and things that I'm not sure anybody even reads? But it's required. So it's like, again, as an entrepreneur, you got to do it. Might as well enjoy it, have fun, come up with reasons to do it, and say, okay, let's talk about this today. It's silly, but so what? Let's have fun doing it. Locally, getting the word out. There are different ways of doing that. Getting on Google Maps, getting on Yelp, which is we're starting to do, and telling people, please leave reviews, which people don't always do, but that's fine. That just takes time. I mean, we've only been really doing this actively for about 6 months now, but people are already starting to find us, which is good. It also helps that the lighting companies have mostly all gone out of business. Home Depot, Lowe's, and the internet have put them all out of business. Back when I started, there were probably 5 large lighting companies, 10,000, 15,000 square foot stores. They're all gone. They just shut down. So we can't compete with the internet. We don't want to compete with it. So that helps in some ways. But people's first step, which probably everybody here can say, is that when they're looking for something, what do you do first? Go online, exactly. And that's what people are doing, which is fine. But what I tend to see is that it also tends to homogenize the whole look of things, because what you find is the same stuff that everybody else is finding, which is going to be the top 5 brands. When I do like Southwestern Lighting, for example, one of my keywords, guess who shows up? Home Depot. They're always in the top 5 or 6. So there's probably 5 or 6 other large national companies. They don't have any Southwestern Lighting. They have one. But because they're Home Depot, they show up in the rankings. So people say, oh, I guess there isn't much out there. I'll just buy this and make do with it. And that's what I'm trying to say. No, there are options. But getting people to find you, I'm down I think I'm number 15, which is like bottom of the 2nd page. Good luck with that. People really have to want to be looking for that, which some people do. But I'm probably losing 95% of the sales because of that. Building a modern website is something in the process of. The website I did myself on just one of the search building ones, the website building companies. It works. It's not, there's no card on it. There's no fanciness to it. It's just a basic functioning site, but it gets by. People have to call me to place orders. Well, that's not going to function in today's world. We try to help people, but still. So that's, hopefully we can roll that out in another month. But trying to make custom lighting, and I'll pull it up real quickly here to give you an idea. This is a sample of what we do. This light comes in 5 sizes, comes in 15 colors. This can be 15 colors. There are 25 designs, 2 styles of designs: indoors, outdoors wet location. We can have the liners that go inside here. This one's got amber, this has silver. We can mix them up. We can do all silver, all amber. What would you like? It's all one of a kind, handmade to order. So going back to we talked about the internet, trying to get found, and with Etsy. Basically, I'm selling this for about $160.
What?
So
That's a $500 light.
it is a
minimum.
$500, and that's the problem. Except on Etsy, this is a $125 light.
No,
Because-
that light isn't $125
Well,
light.
that's what
The
people,
knockoff is 100.
that may be, except this is, yeah. Except that's why I'm trying to go more upscale. But the only way to go upscale, get prices up, is to get the website found. That way I can promote what we do. We're unique, we're handmade, made in America, we're not Chinese, whatever you'd like. And yes, I have sold to a couple customers that say, your stuff is so underpriced. Your stuff is incredible. It's commercial grade quality. We're using 16 gauge aluminum. They're using 20 gauge steel. I mean, everything about it is the best we can do. But again, you can only sell to your customer base. Right now, my customer
The
base
wrong
is,
customer base.
exactly, it's the wrong customer base. But getting to the right one means I've got to have a search engine rankings and da, 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 da. Patience again. I've got to start somewhere and gradually work my way up. But we have probably 2,000 different models. And this comes in this comes in 5 different types. There's Southwestern, there's Western, there's Rustic. This comes in probably 40 different panels, depending on the genre. Just Southwestern, we have over 20. So it's really, they're all one-of-a-kind lights. But again, it's getting the right people. And we're hoping the modern website is going to help a lot. But trying to make a complicated product simple is not easy. How do you show people and make it easy? Okay, you have this choice, then you have this choice, and you have this choice, and you have this choice, and you have this choice. Have pictures of everything. I figure I've taken 2,000 high definition pictures, photoshopped every single one of them in my spare time, just to put on the website. And I've got more coming. That's just the beginning. So going back to my thought, about what it takes to be an entrepreneur, you need to have adversity and challenges. If it's easy, it won't be any good. That's my thought. That sounds bad, but it's kind of true. You need to be challenged. You need to think out of the box. You need to always be looking, okay, this is okay and this is good, but how do I make it better? What do people really want? What is important to people? How is the market changing? We get calls for LED lighting, for example. But LED lighting has a major problem if it's a dedicated LED, is that they take electronic drivers and this and that, and it's all made in China. Well, they break and they go out. And I guarantee you within a year, you won't be able to get parts for it. So now you have a $150 or $500 light that is worth zero because you can't use it anymore. And worse than that, let's say you bought 4 of them and now one of them doesn't work. What are you going to do? That's why I just use regular bulbs that have LED options. Fine. You can use whatever color you want. If the bulb goes out, you replace the bulb. It's not high tech. It's not the latest, greatest, dedicated this and that. But hey, I'm looking at the future. I want this light to work in 50 years from now. And it will. It'll never rust. It'll never go anywhere. In 50 years, it'll look a little faded. It won't be quite as pretty. There'll be some bird droppings on it and things if it's outside. But it'll still be working. It'll still look good. And that's my key. We're not after a disposable product. We want something that will last a lifetime, several lifetimes, in fact. Just a little bit about us, where we're located and such. Just a small little tiny shop. We don't try 99%, well, I say about 95% of our business is on the internet right now. We don't actively pursue the local market. We can, we're here, we have showroom hours, people come in and see it and they love it. But we still find that the majority of sales are going to be out of state. New Mexico is a poor country. I call it a country because it's kind of its own unique place. It's not really part of the US in a lot of ways. So we are trying to do more local business, but it's tricky. This is a Home Depot in a Lowe's town. It really is. Any questions? Let me open it up. Let me show this one. Yeah. This is another one of the samples that you can't see it on the, that we do, just to give it a little difference idea. So
if you do have questions, as Miriam has so boldly stormed over the other side, you wouldn't mind looking if you're in the room, as all of you who are in the room are. If you wouldn't mind heading over that side, you'll just join us front and
Jeez,
it'll be awkward.
That's all right.
And if you don't mind, share your name,
Right.
your company, blah, blah, blah.
Miriam Ortiz-Pino, More Than Organized. I'm a professional organizer and a certified money business breakthrough coach. So I help people figure out their money mindset and their marketing plan and how to make them work together instead of against. Yeah. So I have some suggestions, but do you have an ideal customer?
yes,
Identify?
I've got extremely identified them. My customer is a woman who is upper middle class, who is in their 50s through 60s and who doesn't live in Albuquerque. I'm just kidding on that last part, but I'm not kidding that much actually.
No. Okay, that sounds like some demographics
Yeah,
you've
that's a
identified, but you haven't identified what kind of customer you're seeking.
The-
So your marketing message isn't matching up. 'Cause
The marketing,
I loved your story though. So I wanna,
sure.
we'll talk later about specifics, but you had that great story about why you won't do LED
Right.
for the electronics. That's your entry point. You want to have a legacy piece that will last
Yeah.
a lifetime.
Generations, multi-generations.
And that's where you're gonna find more of those women
Mhm.
and possibly many of them in the local market. So your showroom doesn't just flicker and die. But we can talk more. But I think the main piece I want to say is that it's not that your product isn't good or that people are cheap or any of that. It's the matching the mindset and
That's right.
the marketing message, and then you will find that ideal.
That's what my old company is now ranked #1, courtesy of me and 10 years of SEO work. So that's who I'm competing against, and which is fine. I know how it works at least.
What
I
if
have
you
some
weren't?
inside knowledge in that.
What if you weren't actually competing with them head to head?
Well, I don't want to compete with them today.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go more upscale and more unique, but they have the #1, #2, and like #5 search engine rankings. So and that's the target anyways, to get those rankings. But I'm not competing with them. I don't want to, everything I've done is different on purpose. None of the stuff is the same. Everything is very different.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, and maybe not.
I say competing with that. I'm
You made me on
competing,
your competitor,
I'm
and then you
competing for
said
the search engine ranking. That's what I'm competing,
Yeah,
just to
you
get
don't
up
have
there.
to
That's what I'm competing
you
about.
don't have to compete for the same keywords, is what I'm saying.
In some ways, yeah. In
We're
some
gonna
ways,
go
that's true.
back and
Yeah.
forth between online and the line here.
Okay,
So
sure.
Jason, Colin, you're next.
Good morning, Jason Collin from Jason Collin Photography. So you said you're not too concerned with selling locally. I was just looking at the Pebble Creek lighting, how it comes up on Google Maps, and I see you have some photos up there and stuff. But I found for local business, once I really started using my Google My Business page by posting a photo almost weekly, and also by putting up what they call posts or announcements like that, asking clients and customers for reviews. I've increased reviews to over 30 and all that content on there. Because to me, if you would like to increase the local business, there's Google, and then whatever else comes after that is irrelevant. So to even spend time on, because like you, time is important for me as well. So I think the one inside shot of your store looks pretty good. I would definitely put more, so people are more maybe prone to wanting to come in, like show it off, show how good your displays are inside the office or inside your store. Because local sales are easy, right? No shipping. You have a relationship with the customer who might refer somebody to you here locally and stuff. Just seems like it's wouldn't take too much more effort like that, but you could also maybe connect with a local customer more, who can be a good word of mouth to where an online customer is, restricted to whatever they review if you have reviews on your site.
Oh, Jason, you're absolutely right. And this whole Google thing, I'm still learning, to be honest. I mean, it's one of the changes that wasn't existing when I had my company before.
Sure.
So you're right. I've just read about it. It's just one of those things. It's like, okay, I need to do it, but I need to take the pictures of new samples first. And I need to put them on the website first. I need to develop the web. I mean, it's like, you've got to prioritize, I guess.
Sure.
That's the hardest part. It's just me doing everything. And there's only
Absolutely.
so many hours in a day, but you're right. You are absolutely right. And that's something
Yeah, if you're putting time into Instagram or Facebook, I would shift it to Google first,
that's a good point.
in my experience. Yeah. All right, thank you.
You're right.
This is a great line for me. All right.
Oh, no.
You can hear me. So I'm Eve Fain, and I'm your demographic that you mentioned. I'm a white middle-class woman.
There you go.
I'm interested in light bulbs, specialized light bulbs. Are you a connection for me?
Not really.
Okay.
I
just
have them,
you
but I
have-
can get them and I know a lot about them.
Okay,
I'd be happy to help you, find out, but it's not really, I don't sell light bulbs per se.
okay. Turns out the light bulbs are very important for metabolism.
How important, yeah.
Sonia,
We're
you're
not
next.
gonna get off. on
Yeah,
that.
we're not
We have
gonna get
somebody
off on
behind-
that.
we have
Sonia,
somebody
you're
behind me.
Alrighty, so I actually have a couple of suggestions. So first of all, I saw your YouTube channel. You have tons of videos of your products. And I think that would be an easy way to help your website's SEO is just create blog posts with a video and just pull in that video from YouTube that you already have and add some text to it, with SEO in mind. And that right there is content you already own. So I think that would be a great start. There was something else I had in mind. Besides doing that, I feel like, have you tried? Oh, I also wanted to mention your videos are great, but I think what's important about your business is you and your team. And so some videos of your face and maybe even you guys, like, I love seeing the process behind what you're doing. So maybe some videos of you making these products would be awesome. And then my other suggestion or question really is, have you tried doing Facebook ads targeted at women who live in Santa Fe?
Those are all good ideas. In fact, going back to your second or third one, I believe, we're working on videos. It keeps coming back to the fact it's just me and my wife doing it, and it takes a lot of time. It looks easy, just do a video. Except that to make a video of me making the lights, I've got to have like 20 videos of each individual part doing it. To bring it in, from grinding it, to welding it, to fabricating it, to doing the base coat, next coat, finishing. I mean, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time to create a video that looks good. But you're right, that is an absolute idea. My face, well, I don't like my face. I'm kind of shy about that. So that's why I haven't. I've been more on the product. But you're right. I think my business is much more about who I am and what we do and why we're special and what we're trying to accomplish. And that is something on my new website that I'm working on more, is like, this is what we do. And this is why you want to look at things from us and why it's different. But you're right about that. And it's just, for better or for worse, I tend to have a little bit more of an engineering mentality. That's what I was trained for. I'm not the touchy, feel good kind of let's warm fuzzy, which I need to be though. I mean, there's no question. I need to put that hat on too.
No. You do not need to be warm and fuzzy. You just need to be you, and that's fine. And even if your video is just one piece of that process, I think that's enough, right? It doesn't have to be the whole process. But yeah, I think you've got, I love this product.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Sonia.
Brian
Right.
Steiner of 1MCABQ Custom Software. Nice presentation. The first point that I have is that I highly recommend checking out the Facebook Career Connections program. You get marketing interns that either Facebook or the state paid for.
I didn't know
It
that.
just ended. So it'll be another 8 or 9 months, but they're trained up super well on Facebook. But if you get somebody good, they can abstract those marketing principles and apply them to different
Sure.
platforms.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah. you're
then
right.
it doesn't have to be you, and you get some help on managing a marketing person. So
That's
for 3
what I
months,
need,
they're doing
yeah.
weekly or twice a week meetings with Facebook, their marketing people. So that would be like my number one
Good
recommendation.
idea. That's a good idea.
The second thing that I'm wondering about, we've done some work with different construction materials companies, and it seems like you're really focused on this like business to consumer model. Have you looked at the business to business model? One of our clients does, he's in with really high-end home builders, and those guys that are charging $1 million to $2 million per
Oh,
house.
yeah, it's not much anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, he has been able to like make more on that than a lot of his direct to consumer stuff. And then he's also got distributors that are selling this stuff for him. So the distributor model tends to be lower margin but higher volume. And
exactly.
the high-end home builders, that tends to be kind of the best of both of those. So what have you looked at for the B2B type of sales?
A little history. When I started off my previous company, I did strictly wholesale, which the margins just weren't enough to even make a living. We gave up. That's why we went to China, basically, because that's where we can get the margins up. We then went to more business to business. We worked with home builders. I was a member of the Home Builders Association for a while. We did a lot of that. And that was okay. They tended not to pay their bills.
Cash up front.
It's got to be with them. They always want credit. Well,
Yeah.
you know the story. Anyway, but it's a fine, it's a good market. A lot of really good builders out there. Don't get me wrong. And that's an option I'm looking at. I think right now, because I've only been doing it in real life about 6 months with these new products, I want to get their website running first, so I can say, hey, look at this website. We've got the Parade of Homes coming up in October. And I've already made some brochure. In fact, I've got some brochures here. I'm going to hand out to people and say, look, this is what we do. This is what we do, so on and so forth. So yes, that is the model we can look at. I mean, there's a lot of ways of going. Business to business, just overall, I'm looking at selling on Etsy, which is, they take a percentage of business to business. Amazon is what I'm looking at. That's a weird market though. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to go there. But again, it's the publicity I'm after. I can basically give something a cost, but it gets people coming to the website, which helps my SEO rankings, does the more volume you have, and so on and so forth. So it's all, like you say, a planned marketing event. How am I going to get to where I want to be? I want 5,000 viewers a month. I'm getting right now, it's probably about, I should say, about 150 a week or so coming to the website, which is pennies. But it's a start. It's better than 50 when I was starting working with. So, and that's where you got to plan it ahead. How am I going to get there? So you're right, and that's a good point. But because as an entrepreneur, being a one-man company, or I shouldn't say one-man, my wife helps. There's only so many hours in a day. What do I concentrate on? What's most important? How do I allocate my time most effectively? And there've been a lot of really good ideas. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Those are some good points. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I appreciate it.
We have some great questions and we still have a number of people in the queue, but we do have a second community sponsor. So I'm gonna let Sue close it out in terms of online questions. Eitan, since you're here in person, I invite you to speak with David after, if you don't mind. I'm sure he has some great ideas for you. So Sue, let's close it out and then let's get on to our next presenter.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. First of all, I think your products are lovely, really lovely and unique. Regarding B2B, I would consider if you can handle that kind of volume. I'm not sure what Etsy requires you to have, but I had that in the chat as well. The only other recommendation I was going to make is I hear you keep saying it's just you or it's just you and your wife. And the last gentleman made a good point. But also you might want to reach out to some of the local high schools where they have these courses and the students get actual credit for helping businesses like you. And it's free for you. And it's a great service to both.
Okay, good point. These are things I'm not aware of. So I really appreciate the ideas and help. You're absolutely right.
Love it. That's a great idea. All right. We have two more questions. Red or green? I didn't prep for this. So.
I used to love green, but I'm kind of red now.
Yeah?
I don't know why. Like I said, I got older red that seems to work better. Nice spicy red sounds great.
Good. And what's the one thing this community can do for you?
You've already done a lot. I mean, just the idea has been helpful. I think being an entrepreneur, again, you tend to work in a vacuum because you get on your computer at 6:30 in the morning and you're on it till doing and working and getting out and just talking to other people, coming up with ideas like a lot of the people have said has been wonderful. It really opens it up.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's give
Thank
them a
you.
hand. Eric, you want to come up and talk about our next presenter while I scramble and get their
And actually,
presentation?
so they also have an updated presentation that I have loaded over there.
Did
So
you
I
go?
can actually share and load when I get back over to that fine desk over there, as long as I'm enabled. But yes, so Eric Rinswood-Warren, one of the organizers here at this fine event. And as you, one of the things we're about here in, we're really about community. We're about bringing people together to help support the entrepreneurial community, support the entrepreneurs, and build a I don't know, it's a Camelot on the Rio Grande. That's what I've always thought of this place as. Just kidding. That's a little bit weird. So when I saw this, I started seeing some postings about something called ImagineABQ. It's like, oh, that's a good name. And this vision of how do we bring people together to make our town a better place and look better, but also feel, I don't know, a little more confident, a little more pride in who we are and and our town. So it's like, oh, well, who's behind this crazy thing? And I happen to know a person or two. This is my long-winded way of saying that I'm not sure that I could explain this very well. So thankfully, we've got better people than me to come up and share a little bit of the story about what this is, and maybe get some Q&A. I'm going to head back over there so I can load your presentation and share it onto the screen. But we'll invite Larry up here, who is how many years did you come to this thing? It's been going on for about 8 years. You were only here for maybe 5 to 7 of those.
Yeah, all right.
All right. So just, and the thing I'll say about Larry is just really all in on community ever since I've known you, with a couple different hats, both for myself and for you. So I just know that if you're involved with something, it's a good thing and it's helping the community. So just thankful for what you're doing, and invite you over to speak a little bit more, and I'll get this thing loaded.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Eric. Good morning. Know a good, decent amount of you from here. So excited to see you again, and had a couple year hiatus. One of the cool things though, most of you know me from helping develop the soccer community and grow Albuquerque as a whole. Happened to grow this thing called the Albuquerque Soul, and now you probably know it now as New Mexico United. Beyond your mind blown. It blew my mind to think that we actually accomplished something like that. That came from an idea that Ron and I were talking about in a coffee shop. And when you get two like-minded people together that actually want to work towards the same goal, it's amazing what you can accomplish. Very fortunate to have another player that you guys might know by the name of Charles Ashley put me in contact with another guy, very like-minded, about a different goal. So we've created a different initiative, and we're excited to see what's going to happen here. This is my friend Dave Meyers. Yeah. So Dave Meyers is the chaplain for AFR. Came to me, initially had a conversation with the owner of my company, Kenny. I think it was probably like February. I was out running the day-to-day of my new business. And Kenny happened to tell me, he's like, hey, we probably need to sit down again with this guy by the name of Dave. And I was like, okay, I'll get to it. And the next thing you know, Charles is like, dude, you need to sit down with Dave. Because my initial idea was, how do I get homeless to clean up after themselves? Kind of a little bit more of a tougher challenge than you might actually think. But then I sat and talked with Dave, and I said, well, he's had this idea for years. Why do we have to have just the homeless? Because they really may not have the pride in the city that we do. Why don't we go after everyone else? And that's kind of where it began. I'm going to let Dave tell a little bit about his story and how his version of how we got here, because I might have missed out a message or two.
Morning, everybody. My name is David Meyers. I'm the Health and Wellness Officer for Albuquerque Fire Rescue. I'm also, as Larry says, the head chaplain. I'm a very unorthodox chaplain, as it were, but chaplain nonetheless. Anyways, yeah, I've been working on this idea for years. And the idea is bigger than a cleanup, okay? There's different companies, there's different agencies, there's different entities that do those things, like let's go clean up this park, let's go clean up this street. Mine was a bigger picture kind of thing, like let's do all of it on the same day. One of the beautiful things about Albuquerque is it's a big city, small town. Right? We're very interconnected. We're very interwoven. Everybody knows everybody. And if you don't, you're 1 degree of separation away from knowing that person. No other major metropolitan city in the country can do that. You can't go to Denver and be like, hey, you know Larry? Yeah, of course I know Larry, right? You can't do that other than here. And so let's harness that energy, that interconnectedness, right? That big city, small town mentality that everybody kind of bags on, And let's harness that energy and let's use it to our good. That's one of the most unique things we have going for us as a city. I was born and raised here. I love this city with all my heart. I've been everywhere. I used to be in a band and toured the whole country and went to all the places that I had romanticized in my head were so much better than here. And there's really not any place better than here. I really, truly believe that with all my heart. And so with that, I want to find like-minded people who have the same heart for the city, right? This initiative that we're doing isn't to, put another notch on the belt, no notoriety here. I don't even care if my name's associated with this. I just want to see the entire community come together, even if it's just one day. That's the goal this year, just one day, to interrupt the negative narratives that are going on, right? Especially coming out of the last few years that we came out of, a racial crisis, a financial crisis, a political crisis, and a pandemic. One of those things would be hard enough. We all just came out of all four, and we're actually kind of still in them, if you can agree with that. And so what this initiative is we're picking one day, September 24th, everybody in the city out in force. Can you imagine 10,000 people picking up 2 bags of trash, 2 bags of weeds, tending to your own yard? And then once your yard is good, loving on your neighbors. That's power. That's power. That's amazing. And imagine what we can do with that kind of energy, right? So that's the idea behind this, is finding like-minded people who have the same heart for the same city, the same heart for the same people. Yes, we're a major metropolitan city with major metropolitan problems. We're not Pollyannas here. We're not naive to those things, right? But being a chaplain, one of my biggest pet peeves is people, and they might be very sincere in their prayer, right? But their prayer is, God, feed that guy, fix that thing. Those are very disingenuous prayers, like very cowardice in a way. If you have the ability to embody your own prayer, you go do it, right? Don't ask God to feed somebody when your pantry is full of food, right? That's the idea. And so we're going out, I'm representing the fire department, Larry's representing Red Shovel. We've got different agencies, entities, partners, sponsors. This thing is going to be big. It's going to be beautiful. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be, let's see what fire did today. Look at what PD did today. No. It's going to be, look what we did today as a city, as a community. And so that's the initiative.
So based off of that, what is it? What is it? It was, as we started to sit down, like Dave alluded to, we could do backpacks for kids, we could do food, there were so many things that we looked at as a city that we said, okay, what do we need to do? Okay. Well, in order for us to be around next year, this year has to be a success. Okay. So we decided to keep it simple. It's funny, as you get older, you start to think of the things that your parents used to tell you. And I always remember that my mom used to say, remember a kiss, keep it simple, stupid. So that's exactly what we're doing. Okay. Weeds, litter, trash. Yes, there's so much more that we can do, but in order for us to be around and move forward for next year, because we're really hoping to grow this initiative in multiple different facets, but let's get our feet underneath us. Okay. So this particular year, like we just said, weeds, trash, litter. What this is going to do is it's not only going to help us develop a sense of community, but it's going to help really turn the narrative. Okay. Tired of being first on the bad list and last on the good lists. Let's create some traction, some momentum of like, wow, look what Albuquerque did. Again, not AFR, not APD, not Red Shovel, not Got Junk, none of those things. Look what we did. You know, we talked to the ladies from Stop Bagging, Start Bragging. That's the whole idea, is let's flip the script. Let's get this, you know, as you're out picking up trash in your neighborhood. And this is kind of the way, if we want to go ahead and go to the next slide. Sorry.
Sorry. Oh, there we go.
Right here. Again, we're looking for 1 to 2 bags of trash from everyone. Okay, it's not a lot. You start where your feet are. Okay, your home, your work, your church, your school. You go to those places, get 1 to 2 bags of trash. You can put those in your own receptacle on Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever your day is. It'll get picked up, taken. If you decide you want to be a little overzealous and you pick up more, guess what? We have fire stations that you can bring them to. And the city of Albuquerque, before at noon, will start going around and picking up all these big bags of trash from fire station 5, 7, 20, 21. Correct. Okay. Those are also, if you need supplies, and I'm kind of fluttering through this. If you need supplies, you can go to fire station 5, 7, 20, 21 on the Thursday before from 3 to 7 p.m. and pick up supplies. Okay, trash bags, weeds, or trash bags, gloves, pinchers, rakes, all those other fun things that you may not necessarily need, you can go grab those. We've been fortunate to have Home Depot, Lowe's, Sam's Club, and some other big entities come in and say, hey, we want you guys to have the supplies. So we're going to pass those on to you guys. Okay.
Let me say something real
Go
quick.
ahead.
One of the things that's fascinating about this idea, right, is everybody that I'm talking to or that we're talking to, they're almost acting like this is incredible. This initiative is phenomenal. Like, we've never heard of this before. Like, and I'm sitting there thinking like, there's no way that I am the first person that's ever thought of cleaning up your own city, right? But that's what people are acting like, which is phenomenal because now there's a buzz, there's a little bit of excitement, you know? And I don't know what that is, I really don't. But I'm going to harness that energy, right? And that excitement and that enthusiasm to partner with, again, like-minded people who have the same heart for the same city. And let's do something phenomenal, even if it's one day, right? And then we do it good, right? As Larry was alluding to, and we do it well. And now there's more buy-in. And so the next year we can branch out to do more things for the community, maybe different days now too, right? But yeah, I go before city council this afternoon and I'm gonna get them on board because that's the idea is we're all in this together, right? This is our city. I'm really sick of what, you know, people are like, you know, what's the mayor doing? Or what's the mayor not doing, right? Yeah, okay, we need to hold our elected officials accountable, 100%. But this is also our city, right? This is also my front yard. The mayor doesn't come and rake my front yard, you know, those kinds of things. So let's tend to the things that we can control, that we can help with, and let's see what happens. Imagine what can happen if we all have that kind of mentality.
So I'm going to jump in for a second. Let's engage the power community. We've got a few folks. I think we've got some questions online that we might bring in, and maybe because we only have maybe 5 or so minutes left.
Okay.
We'll expedite the final questions from us. But let's see. I think Sonia had something, and I think somebody else that might have had something online.
Sonia who?
Good name, Sonia who. All right, my question is, are you guys going to have a specific event? Because elevated roller derby, we're always looking for something to do to help the city. And, you know, if you had a specific event on a specific date, we could schedule something.
Great question. So September 24th, we have listed between the hours of 9 and 2. Obviously, you don't have to abide by those rules, but that's kind of our target date. September 24th, you're going to see people out in force, really trying to make a difference here in our city. Quick comment on that. There's also another initiative by the city that is being run on the same day that we're now kind of in tying with ours called Company is Coming. And then there's also the big cleanup around Balloon Fiesta Park. So we're really trying to make this a big deal right before we're on the international stage for Balloon Fiesta. So.
Sue, you have a comment? That may be the one you just referred to.
There you go. Yeah, my comment was actually, I think the city will embrace this. The mayor just did a big announcement regarding making the city buildings clean energy and renewable energy. So he has a major focus on keeping or getting this city into a better place in terms of the environment and sustainability. I wish you luck today. By the way, the name of that program that they just launched is called BRAIN. I can't tell you what the whole acronym stands for, but
That's cool.
you'll be in his
Thank you.
favor.
To be honest, I think that's kind of what is making this work, is that Charles Ashley, who was the outgoing economic development director, Dave with a public service entity, a private corporation, we've now embraced almost everybody, and the word has gotten out. And so it's really starting to become a big deal. And I really think that's why this is going to be a success, is because it's not listed as a City of the Albuquerque project, a public service project, a private entity project. It's everybody all together.
Hi there, I'm Barbara Dawson with Purple Mulch, and I'm a wellness coach. I live in Corrales, and twice a year they do a cleanup, but it's weeds and greens and all of that, and there's a place we can go dump them at the, there's an area where they recompost everything. And maybe not this year, but at some time in the future to keep our footprint as small as possible. I'd love to see it, put your greens in this bag and put the trash in this bag so that we can renew that green, especially with all of the weeds in the city right now with the rain. So it may be too late for this year, but at some point I'd love to.
We've
see
had
that
conversations about that.
Right, and probably what'll end up happening is, if we get to an area where there's gonna be someone that goes and pulls a bunch of weeds, they can call me at Red Shovel, and I'll send a truck to go pick up green waste.
Yeah.
So we can do it at that way.
happen. So long as they know who to call,
Right.
that would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing.
This type of project is already happening in Africa, a place called Rwanda. In the city of Rwanda is it's called Kigali. And once a month, residents, as well as the president, everybody goes out, cleans up all the things that you're talking about. Right? And it's supposed to be the cleanest city in Africa. It's supposed to be the second Singapore. And maybe there could be a connection between Africa, of all places, and Albuquerque, just to see how that program has been functioning for a number of years. And for people to look on YouTube and see it is absolutely fantastic. It's Kigali in Rwanda.
Thank you. And so, and for you guys that may or may not know, that would be something we've talked to Randy Trask about, who's head of, international development for the city of Albuquerque. Why not create another sister city in Rwanda? I think that would be fantastic.
I have two last questions, and then we have a special guest to help close this. The two last questions, you may not be familiar with this, total surprise. First is red or green?
Both.
Okay.
Red.
Oh, fantastic. I love it.
It's that refined palette.
And then the last one really is, and you already mentioned it, but like just put a button on it in a single sentence. What can this community here in the room and anybody who happens to see this in the next week or so online, what can our folks do to help this make it happen?
Honestly, the idea is empowering, encouraging, and inspiring the city. So if you want to help us do that, if you can help us do that, go to ImagineABQ.com and just join the effort, and let's do something beautiful and true and good. For once, not for once, but you know what I mean. Like, I think the city deserves it. I love the city. I think it's one of the most beautiful cities, and I want to protect it. I want to keep it. I want to keep tradition and culture and all of that stuff. And I just think that I suffer from depression and anxiety really bad, really bad. And there's nothing that gets me out of my head faster than service for others. And so that's the idea behind this. That's the spirit.
So what immediately you can do is, if you could pull out your phones, go to our website, go to our Facebook channel, our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our Twitter feed. all under ImagineABQ, and follow us on that. And then if you guys do decide to go out into your neighborhoods and want to help, get to know your neighbor.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that we can do when we start talking about how to adversely affect crime is get to know your neighbor and say, hey, John, did you see that guy walking by? He was looking in your car, whatever that is. You know, this is the way we're going to continue to inspire and lift up our city.
Well, thank you again. Thanks so much for joining us. We might be 30 seconds over, but we're going to hand it off to Paul to close off things on.
Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, it's tough to follow what we've heard, but I'll try. So when I hear this Imagine Albuquerque pitch, I want to tell you about two cities that I lived in. I went to grad school at the University of Washington in Seattle. A few years before I showed up, there was a sign on the outskirts of Seattle, "Will the last person to leave, please turn out the lights." Because Seattle was Boeing, it was boom and bust. Okay, I got there and things were lifting up. I visited since then. You can't recognize the city. The places that I used to go to that were scruffy, that made me nervous, are boutiques, and it looks like somebody hosed the streets with money. I postdoc at MIT in Boston, and in Kendall Square, it was scruffy, it was beat up, and there was construction the whole time I was a postdoc. Again, I've been back since then. You can't recognize the city. I want you to be able to tell those stories about Albuquerque 10 years from now. So put your hands to it, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome.